Hello. Welcome to the podcast.
Thank you so much. It's always good to be here.
It is a rather serendipitous podcast, as it is I believe in America, it is still the 22nd of the 2nd, 2022nd, correct?
That is correct.
And
Yes.
this is the 222nd podcast.
Is it really?
No, it's the 221st. But
Ah,
I'm going to lie and say that it is.
okay. That
So,
is, that's incredible.
yeah.
Wow. What serendipity indeed.
Just one of those episodes that if we didn't skip for some reason or we'd started a week earlier, we would have nailed it, lined right on up. But no.
I know if there's like one podcast episode we didn't skip at some point over the
hmm
last several years, we would have lined up perfectly.
Yep.
Ah, incredible. We'll take it though. We'll pretend it's the 222nd. I'm down with that. I
Yeah.
can roll with that narrative.
hmm
Good. 222nd on the 22nd of February 2022. Incredible.
Yep.
Could only be better if it was 2222 was the year.
Yes. That would be technically better. It would also be better if we started like an hour and 20 minutes later instead of 1 o'clock Australian. It would be 2 p.m.
Ooh, yeah.
2:20.
Man,
Yeah.
there's so many ways we can make this better.
We could have 220 people be on the show. Maybe that's not an improvement.
Give them all like 10 seconds. Answer one question. All right, next, move. Go, go, go. I did see a funny Reddit post where someone's, I don't know, like weather station. It was the 22nd of February 2022. It was 2:22 p.m. and the temperature was 21 degrees. They were super mad about it.
Go up to the thermometer and start rubbing your hands, trying to raise it by one temperature, 1 degree.
Right, like blowing on it. Come on.
That is, yeah, that's what
That
I
was a
would
good
be
one.
doing. Yeah,
Yeah,
that's good.
super fantastic. So,
hmm
what's going on? Well, it looks like tomorrow we're going to officially kick off Katowice.
Yes, indeed.
It looks like we're going to start off with the round of 36. Players like Bjorn are involved here. Haz is in here. Nice and Hero and a Laser and Estrella and Creator and Dongray Gu. So good talent. Not
Yep.
top tier talent, obviously, but talent.
Mm-hmm.
And it does start at like 4:00 a.m. my time, which sucks, but they're doing this all in one day. So by the time we get to like the round of 8 and stuff, the round of 4, it's going to be when I'm awake. So that's nice.
Oh. Well, it's gonna be starting in about 9 hours from now, which is 10 p.m.
For
So I'll
you,
be
right?
asleep, and then I'll be getting up to go to work because
Right.
I didn't take time off for this
For the round of 36,
for the
right?
round of 36.
Understandable.
It's potential that I do have time off. It's just I may have accidentally made other plans, forgetting that Katowice was on.
Oh, okay.
So there's even though the regular group stages are still starting at like 11 p.m. I might be busy.
Oh, well, bummer.
Yeah, yeah.
Sometimes
We'll
life gets in the way.
I'll bail on one of them. We'll find, wait and see which one gets bailed.
Flip a coin.
Yeah, pretty much.
Well, all right. I'm excited for it. Feels like we've been waiting for it for a while,
Definitely.
but it will be excellent. Who got replaced? Somebody tested positive for COVID and got replaced.
Uh,
'Cause I think Uthermal
Ragnarok.
took their spot.
Yeah.
Ragnarok.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yep.
And then Uthermal came in.
Yeah, and Armani also forfeited his spot for personal reasons and was replaced by Ryung. So that's cool.
Okay.
Yeah.
Cool. Well, excellent. Yeah, should be a good time. We'll talk about all the Katowice stuff that happened next week in the pod, so look forward to that.
Mm-hmm.
I would take time off, except we're right in this middle of a big cloud update release, and been super great. And I don't know. We'll see how it goes. I think we're pretty much in the same place where it's like we're not going to get the testing done by the time they want us to, because guess what? We tested and found problems. Like we told you, it was a really solid possibility. And but they seem pretty hell bent on this February 28th, like you're done thing, and we're not going to be done. So They might just be like all full steam ahead. We're releasing this anyway, and we'll deal with bugs as we find them out in the field. But
Okay.
well, guess we'll have to find out. That's what is with work right now. And I think once it's pushed out, I think I'm just gonna put in for 2 weeks off, just because
Mhm.
it's like it's unlimited time off.
I feel like you've been saying that for about a month, so I'm steadily getting more sure that you will do it.
Yeah. I
Yeah.
think I'm gonna do it because
Yeah.
honestly, this is our busy time, right? When
Right.
there's a release right about ready to go into the testing phase, which is weeks of pest testing, and then we
Mhm.
push the updates out, and that's another weeks of pushing, and then after that, it quiets down, and I don't feel
Right.
like my services are necessarily needed. I'm doing far less work in the times right after an
Mhm.
update has just gone out, so I
Sure.
feel like my bosses will be more amenable to that concept. So yeah, I sound pretty confident about it, don't I?
Mhm. Mhm. Pretty confident.
All right, cool. Sounds good. We'll do it.
Yep. Yep. You gonna do
Yep.
anything on those 2 weeks off? Gonna go on a road
Play
trip?
video games,
Okay.
probably. Road
Play video
trip,
games.
honestly.
Head up Vegas. I don't know. Bet it all
Yeah.
on red.
It's kind of funny. Like, I don't like gambling at all,
Uh-huh.
but there is something kind of weirdly appealing at putting it all on red, right?
Right.
It's like it's just one shot, one go.
Mhm.
You don't have to sit at a table for an hour. You don't have to count cards in your head. You don't have to figure out any of the odds. Just very simple 50-50 go.
Well, it's not even 50-50, it's 49 and a half.
Right, right, right.
On roulette, yeah.
Yes. But whatever. I mean,
Round
for
up, we'll
all
say
intents and
50-50.
purposes, it's 50. Yeah.
I mean, from what I've heard, playing roulette is terrible odds. Like, even 50-50 is not great for you. Like, if you play literally anything else that can have an ounce of skill involved, like blackjack or poker, you can get the odds much greater in your favor.
Yeah, no, that makes sense.
But it's more time and learning how to count cards and things like that.
Right.
Mhm.
And then additionally, I guess things like the slot machines, that's just set odds too, right? There's no skill there.
Yeah, I don't think there's any skill there.
Right.
Yeah.
Anywho, I'm not going to Vegas. That's the
No.
plan.
No.
No,
Okay. That's fair.
not happening. So in other news, Russia has kind of moseyed its way on over an internationally recognized border of Ukraine and put some troops in there.
Mm.
So I don't know. Everyone's kind of like, So the UN's going to strongly condemn them, but they're a big enough kid on the block that they're not going to do anything about it.
Hmm.
Russia's on the Security Council for the UN, which means they have veto power, which means that anything the Security Council decides to do, Russia just goes no, and it doesn't happen. It's same thing with China, same thing with the US, same thing I think with the UK. It's just if you're a big enough kid on the block, then the international community can't tell you what to do.
Yeah.
So the interesting thing here, I think, is if Russia just sits where they are,
Yeah.
just controls this portion of Ukraine, which is kind of unstable, and like Ukraine doesn't seem to have a good handle on it anyway. So it's kind of like, I mean, we're mad, but are we really that mad? And if they just sit there, then it's kind of like, all right, well, that was kind of like what they did with Crimea a few years ago, right? Where they do a thing and everybody's like, "Rah, rah, 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 rah," and then nothing else happens, and we move on.
Hmm. And then a few years later, people are like, oh, well, they didn't do anything with Ukraine. They go for the
Part of
next place.
Ukraine,
Well, they
right?
go for the rest of
That's
Ukraine. It'll still
That's
be.
the thing. If they start pushing towards the rest of Ukraine, I think that's going to make everybody super mad. And that will maybe
Mm.
invite military intervention. But as it stands, it's like, it doesn't feel quite enough, I don't think, for any of the other countries who are concerned about this to do anything about it. Like, I'm sorry, Ukraine, but
Mm. So I just want to look at a map real quick. Technically, the globe. How far from where they're occupying is the Ukrainian
ooh,
capital?
that's a
Oh,
good question.
And I would love to tell you because I'm looking at. Okay, I assume that's Kiev there, but everything's in Russian. It's like I can't read
Ooh,
anything.
ooh,
But I
this
don't know.
map.
I now don't know where they're holding, so it doesn't like I can't. This
Look what
map's
I
useless.
found for you. Boom. Here's exactly what you need.
Oh, excellent. That is much
Perfect.
helpful. Yeah.
Yeah. So, I mean, obviously, it's right on the border with Russia, because otherwise, how did they do this?
Right.
Um, but yeah, these regions are the ones that, uh, anyway, Russia has wandered into.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. So there's still most of the country away.
Yeah,
Yeah, because
because
Kiev
Kiev is
is like,
way over there.
yeah, it's not like way over there. It's so you know that little insert map at the top right.
Yeah, top left.
Yeah, top left. Excuse me. Where that part of river heads up to the top left. That's basically where Kiev is.
Oh yeah, no, I found a different map. Yeah, right in the middle, basically.
Yeah.
It's like
Yeah.
halfway in between the left and the right side, but kind of towards the northern portion. Right.
Right.
So, yep. So that's how I think is going to happen here. I think that Russia's going to sit there, and whether they decide to push any further east or further west, I don't know.
Mm-hmm.
They could choose not to until 5 years later when they decide to, and it's like the slowest game of country conquering we've ever seen, right?
Right. Certainly no
Anyway,
blitzkrieg.
no, like the opposite of a blitzkrieg make people nervous. It gets
Yeah.
people interested in wanting to fight you. Like the
Mm-hmm.
slow and steady conquering is very much more effective. You just have to be really patient for it.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah. That is true.
Uh-huh. So I don't know. I mean, everyone kind of expected World War III to start, but then Russia made their move and nope. 0% fighting back by anyone. And it's the strangest military conflict I've ever seen.
I mean, okay, I'm gonna hold you to
Oh.
that. I need to clip that. That's the strangest military conflict you've ever seen. That way, you can never bring up the war against emus ever again, because this is
Yes.
now the strangest that you've ever seen. So therefore, fighting emus has no precedence or weight to it at all.
I don't consider that a military conflict. I consider that the emu is just kicking butt and doing whatever they want. There wasn't any conflict there necessarily.
I mean, is there any conflict here? Or is it
Uh,
just Russia coming in and kicking butt and doing what they want?
good point.
Mm,
It's a
yeah,
good point. So I need to
Russia,
change the terms I'm using here.
European emus over here.
Yeah.
That's not their hockey team. It needs to be.
uh, so it's just weird. It's just weird to me
Mm-hmm. No, that's fair.
because everyone is expecting maybe something bigger than it was. Whatever. I don't know. Like I said, not much to talk about, but I just thought that was an interesting world event to kind of go
Mm-hmm.
over a tiny bit here.
Sure. Yeah.
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 Mm. So how's your work experience going on these days?
Well, we just got a new coworker. A new baker coming in,
Mm.
and it's a mixed bag. Like, not everything's great, but I'm not expecting this person to pick everything up, in 8 hours, right?
Sure.
And then I immediately had my weekend, which I'm on now. So who knows how it's going? But it's the we don't really have a manager at the moment. We have someone who's kind of doing the manager's job, but they're not really a bakery staff member. They're just they were trying to get the manager's job, and even though they were learning and doing it, they didn't give it to her, which is really weird. I'm like, no, we're gonna give it to someone else, or maybe we're gonna hire someone new. And as a result, we don't really have a lot of consistent and stable stock ordering coming in.
Hmm.
So yesterday when I left, we didn't have wholemeal grain, high fiber low GI or 7 season grains. That's 4 variety. Oh no, and bun mix. So we didn't have any hot cross buns.
Oh.
And we also only had maybe enough yeast for 3 bags of white flour when we do 10 or 11 a day on a weekday.
Exciting. All of this makes for exciting work days, Omicron.
Yeah, and I'm kind of glad I wasn't there for that. I mean, it could have came in like that afternoon after I left on my Friday, I don't know that it did. I didn't message anyone to check. I meant to. Kind of just slipped my mind. Whoops.
Oops.
Yeah. I mean, it's not my fault. I asked for them to order it like a week ago. If it doesn't, like, it's supposed to come in 2 days after you order it. If it doesn't come in, it doesn't come in. What do you want me to do?
Exactly. Nothing you can do about that.
Exactly.
You're not going to go hunt it down.
Nope. Certainly not.
Well, yeah, that's I guess that's kind of like when the VPN goes down, so I can't work from home. And it's like, well,
what do you want me to
can't
do?
do
Go
anything
into
about.
work?
I can't fix it. Yeah, I can't go in. I don't have a desk at work. I can't go in. Like, oh, I don't have enough flour to do all the work today.
Yeah.
Oh well.
I mean, the usual thing to do is to call someone and see if they can go get it or bring it from another store or something. But I mean, I had enough for the day that I was working. Like, it's not my problem that they're gonna run out on a day that I'm not working.
Right.
Yeah,
Not your circus, not your monkey, your home.
Exactly.
Yes. 100%.
Yep. I'm not the manager for a very good reason.
Because you don't want to be?
Exactly.
Well,
that's
excellent.
Yeah,
it's amazing fun.
Yeah. And I feel like it's been a slow week. Is it just me? Or has this week been kind of slow? Like, nothing's really happening.
Yeah. I mean, February is usually kind of feeling that way, I think.
Yeah.
February is usually not a jam-packed month with a lot of exciting stuff happening. I could be wrong. Maybe look over the receipts of previous Februaries and see what we get.
Right. Like, I just can't think of anything that's interesting that's happening. Like, okay, Bethesda's closing their launcher and moving to Steam.
I mean, I would just like to take a moment to say thank you, Bethesda, for doing that.
Thank you, Microsoft, for buying Bethesda and doing that.
Oh, good point. Excellent point. I mean, honestly, if Microsoft buying companies makes them getting rid of their own personal launcher, which is the dumbest thing, then I'm in favor of more companies getting purchased by Microsoft.
Yeah, feel free to buy Ubisoft and EA while you're at it.
Yeah.
And that basically closes all of them except for Epic.
No, there's the Red launcher for CD Projekt Red. They have their own launcher that launches when you launch
the game from
Cyberpunk in Steam.
Is it only Cyberpunk? Not like The Witcher?
Yeah, The Witcher doesn't do it. I don't know why. Even though The Witcher's in the Red launcher. Don't get it. Yeah. So what else is there? What else are we missing?
Well,
did you say the Blizzard launcher?
There's a Blizzard launcher, yeah. They could
Yeah.
throw all that in Steam. That's fine.
I think so.
There's the Xbox launcher for the Windows PC games.
Right.
There's
got to be a list somewhere.
I mean, probably.
God, remember when it was like 2?
There's the GOG launcher.
Yeah, that's a good one. Good call.
Yeah.
We said Epic. We said Origin.
We said Ubi.
Yeah. That covers most of them.
Doesn't Discord have its own launcher? Like, you can buy games through Discord or something?
Ooh, yeah, that's true.
I've forgotten entirely about this because I never look at, like, the home screen or whatever for Discord, and I legitimately don't know where to find it. So
apparently there's a launcher for Raid Shadow Legends.
Sure. Oh, League of Legends?
They have their own launcher too?
Yeah, the Riot Games launcher. Yeah.
PUBG's got their own too.
Ugh.
Freaking kidding me.
Can I rant about PUBG for just a tiny second?
Yeah, absolutely.
The game is called PUBG Battlegrounds, which the PUBG stands for Player Unknown Battlegrounds. Your Player Unknown Battlegrounds. Cut it out.
The redundancy.
The tautology, you don't need it. Just drop one of the battlegrounds. It's fine.
Agreed. I'll send them a strongly worded email about that one.
Please do.
Definitely. Let's see what else is going on. So okay, so the whole Tinder thing, right?
Okay. Yeah.
Never used Tinder.
Uh-huh.
I've watched a few videos about Tinder and talked to people about Tinder. There's a lot of Reddit posts about Tinder, right? So I feel like I understand what it is, even though I've never actually used it in my life.
Sure.
Have you used Tinder in your life, Somicron?
Sure.
You have?
Yeah.
Okay. So I've been hearing arguments about how it is 80% women and 20% men. And I've heard complaints about how women they're inundated with attention from men they're not interested in. And for men, it's hard to get any women to even match with them at all. So it's like these two super extremes, right? Where it totally sucks to constantly have to wade through hundreds of people that you're not interested in at all on this app. But it's also terribly sucky to have no one seem interested in you whatsoever.
So, I mean, that was my experience. Like, very few
Yes.
matches, right? Which is fine. Because I used it for a little bit, and then I realized this isn't how I want to meet people.
Right.
But the idea that women have to wade through tons of like people that they're just not interested in is like they're still only matching with the ones that they are. You can't be matched without actually swiping left on someone.
Oh, that's
right.
a good point.
I'm not sure. So if you're like, and even if you are, you can just unmatch with them anytime you want.
Yeah.
As for the ratio of users, I wouldn't know because, I mean, why would I? Like, if there's women outnumbering men 4-1, it feels like men should be slogging through higher numbers to find the ones that they're interested in, not the other way around. But I wouldn't, as a user, I wouldn't see the number of men because I've got it set to match with only women. So
right.
I wouldn't know the number of men that I'd have to slug through. Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. I mean, there have been people like couples have, or just like friends, a man and a woman who are friends, have just like signed up on Tinder and then just like had the other person handle the account. Right. So dude
Okay.
signs up for Tinder as himself and everything is like, okay, here's my phone. Like, we're going to spend a day here and see how many matches you get and how easy it is for you to set up a date. And then vice versa. The girl gives him her phone and he does the same thing. And yeah, and it's just like the woman's like, there is nobody is coming through this door. What's going on? And the dude's like, wow, like there are a lot of, like, effectively a lot of attention from dudes here, right? And like, I don't know, they're not necessarily
okay. So dudes who don't get any matches will do something that I did at the last day that I was using it to be like, just how fucking broken is this? Is you just swipe right on everything. Like, you just approve everyone. And then only the people that like you will see. But every woman will see that someone matched with them. Because you get a notification when someone matches with you. I think to see it, you actually have to pay. Right, like super likes or some shit. Yeah, there's some subscription being like, hey, you swiped left on this guy. Did you want to swipe right because he swiped right on you? It's like, well, if you want to go back, you gotta pay us $5.99. So yeah, I don't like. I can definitely see someone having a female's account and being like, wow, there's a shitload of attention because guys are just casting the widest nets possible because they only need to get a couple of hits back, whereas women don't need to do that because they're already getting all the attention.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So all that, like I said, all that pretty much been discussed. Pretty fairly well known. Seems like a fair analysis of what's going on there. But I watched a video today that said that the founders of Tinder came from a wealthy like highly educated background. And the intent of Tinder for them when they were creating it was for that top 10% of dudes who are wealthy, who are highly educated, to just have basically an endless supply of potential dating options.
Mm.
That's who it's for. It's not for anybody else. The intent of the app is to set this up, and it has succeeded immensely well.
Well, I I always just assume the economical answer, which is they set this up to make money, and that they
Yeah.
have like
Yep.
you can
Because
have
of the
it.
super likes, right?
Yeah, you can have a core user base that you're targeting,
Mm-hmm.
and maybe it has done that, but it's also become widely popular with not super high educated, super wealthy dudes already. Just like it found its market was broad market, like a mass appeal to just all the common folk are using it. Like arguably, it changed what dating is for a lot of people.
Yes.
Um,
Totally. And so, right. So they made a ton of money on the app because all these men who have to struggle and swipe through 200 women to get a single person to respond to them,
mhm,
right? They get desperate and they start paying for the super likes and they start paying for the other microtransaction stuff. And that's where the revenue of this thing comes from,
mhm,
is the desperation of these poor 80% of men that are on this app who are just struggling mightily with it, right?
mhm,
And so, yeah, they're just being taken advantage of. And the other thing is that women who are on there, who again are not interested in most of the men on Tinder, they just want the top 10%. They're
mhm,
struggling to get the attention of the top 10% because every other woman on there wants the attention of the top 10% too. So they're also struggling. They're also struggling to get attention from the people they want to get attention from. So they're willing to pay for
mm.
things like super likes too.
Um, well, okay, so I imagine that when you're prospecting for a viable match,
Hmm.
obviously the person who's like, I'm a meth addict, you're not gonna match with. Like, there's just no way, right?
Just on their bio, I love meth.
I mean, I've seen worse. Um,
Wait, have you?
yeah.
Nope. Story time. What have you seen, Tomagron?
I mean, this was years ago. I don't really
Mine?
remember, but it was like, I'm just here looking for drugs. Let me know if you have any. I will. Right? Like they were using it like a Silk Road or whatever it is. Like just
Yeah. Except with like their picture and real name.
no, it doesn't have to be their real name or their picture.
Fair point. Fair point. Fair point.
Yeah. I mean, what they were
Oh my gosh,
trading
that's funny.
in kind, you would want to imagine that they were then using their real picture. But
Sure.
yeah,
So it's prostitution for drugs.
essentially, yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, and then straight up prostitution also exists on it. Um,
Yeah, and that's part of something that dudes have talked about is like if someone matches with me and they're attractive, I automatically assume they're a bot, they are a scam, or they're a prostitute. Like
mhm.
that's what I assume it is because that's usually what it is. And I'm just like, that is the saddest. That is the
Yeah,
saddest thing I've ever heard.
I saw
Like how
a guy like made a flowchart of all of his like he did like a week on Tinder and he said he matched like he swiped right on everyone, which was something like 400 and something people. Of the
yeah.
likes that he got, 90% were bots. The
Mhm.
8% of the like what was left uh stopped talking or didn't respond within 2 days, and the last 1% ended up being a catfish or something. Right?
So brutal.
Yeah.
That is so sad.
It is, yeah.
Yeah.
Um
So the lesson here is nobody use Tinder for anything. It's not for you. Sorry.
Okay, here's the thing. It theoretically it can work, and I don't begrudge anyone from using it. But what I will say is actively dig and look through the settings because I remember years ago,
Mm,
developers on video games were saying 95% of all players do not go to the settings menu and do not mess with like any of the settings.
anything.
And same for app. Like it was my iPhone App Store developer. Like people on iPhones do not look through their settings. And so if you can make your search refinement as granular as possible, do it.
Hmm. Hmm.
Because I just imagine
Interesting.
most people aren't doing it. And I feel like you can really thin out the weeds that way.
Yeah. Probably an option there like don't show me bots.
Maybe. Oh, actually, just maybe take the time to report bots when you find them.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Yeah, it's one of those things where, like, if everybody did it, it'd be really effective, but to convince
No.
everyone to do it, and if only, like, 1% of people do it, it's not enough, you know?
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, that's funny. Anywho, I don't know. In general, it just seems like Tinder is a bad place to be.
Ah,
Like you
yeah.
said, for some people, sure, maybe it worked out. Maybe there are plenty of successful relationships that started on Tinder,
hmm
but it
Statistically,
sure
there has to be some.
yeah, just enough millions of people or 190 countries have Tinder at this point. So yeah.
That's what, all of them except for China and North Korea.
That's amazing. How many countries are there? 195 countries.
Oh,
So yeah,
so
what are
there's
the
three.
5 that don't have them, do you think?
Well, North Korea definitely doesn't have it. If I had to
Yeah.
bet, I would say China.
Uh-huh. I'd
Um,
say Saudi Arabia,
Saudi Arabia, yeah.
just because
Uh,
they're ostensibly super religious and like wouldn't be into a hookup app.
yeah. I mean,
Afghanistan?
ooh, yeah,
Probably not in Afghanistan.
probably not. Um, I'm gonna say Japan because they've got a serious birth rate problem, and clearly nobody's matching there. So
Hmm.
it might be available, but no one's using it. Um,
Yeah, they probably have their own. 56 languages. I mean, I guess you don't need a crazy amount of translation.
Tinder says its platform is available in 190 plus countries.
Oh,
So
plus countries.
it might
Wow.
be available in just about everywhere.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
In August 2018, Natasha Aponte made headlines after conning dozens of men she had matched with on Tinder to meet her in Union Square, Manhattan at 6 p.m. for a live Tinder dating competition. According to some, they received an unsolicited message from Aponte inviting them to meet her. Upon arrival, the men discovered they'd been conned into competing. Who explained that she was over dating apps and wanted instead for suitors to participate in a competition. That's fantastic.
uh,
Like there are enough desperate men on there that were like, okay, sure, I'll meet you at
I'll meet you for the Squid
Manhattan.
Games.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. There you go. For the Squid Games.
Mm-hmm.
Anywho, yeah. So, I mean, a lot of the suggestions are like, if you want to meet someone, meet them in real life. And it's like, okay, fine. I understand that. It's just been especially hard with like COVID, I think, for a lot of people who normally would go out to
Mm-hmm.
public events that are kind of shut down and people are worried about getting sick and spreading the disease. And
Mm-hmm.
so, yeah, it's been a really hard couple of years for that. And then I think contributed to the rise of the online stuff because, like, yeah, you can meet people without having to risk going out into a nightclub, you know?
Right.
Right. So I don't know. Hopefully, it's so hard to say with COVID, but it seems like this latest spike with the Omicron virus has gone down. What the future holds, I don't know.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, I mean, basically from Christmas Eve to today was like
Mm-hmm.
just a massive spike in cases.
Yeah.
But we're
I've not
back
looked.
down to
I've
basically,
not looked at case numbers in a while.
yeah. So I mean, I just got it pulled up here. If you search COVID on Google, it brings up some real nice available graphing
Mm.
options and stuff.
Yeah.
But basically, November 26th, it was a 75,000 COVID cases per day rolling average on 7 days. And it's like 80 today. So yeah, like we're
Mm.
basically back to where we were before this massive spike happened over a relatively short period of time.
Fair enough.
So I don't know. So I mean, hopefully things get back to normal that way for people, but who knows?
Yeah. Fingers
I
crossed.
certainly don't. Yeah, fingers crossed for sure.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Blah.
Blah.
What else? Demon Slayer finished up their entertainment district arc.
Okay. Season's
Is
not
real.
over, but
When does it resume?
no. I'm asking: is the season over, or
Oh,
is it just the arc?
There wasn't a new episode this week, so I assume the season is over. It seems shorter than the previous ones, but it's entertainment arc, like Mugen Train arc. They're different things. Entertainment District
I
arc.
broke my brain.
I broke your brain?
Yeah, because
Sorry.
the phrase arc in anime has very specific connotations, or at least in my mind it does. Like
Okay.
I think it's the first season of My Hero Academia, there's the sports festival arc, and it's
Right.
clearly just the arc of stories revolving around the one sports festival.
Mm-hmm.
To then describe that as the uh as like, well, the arc's over, therefore the season is, doesn't make any sense to me.
So they had the Mugen Train arc, which was episodes 27 through 33. That was everything happened on the train, right? And then they
Sure.
finished that and they started the Entertainment District arc at episode 34 through episodes 44.
And 44 is out. It's done.
And 44 is out and done.
Okay, then I assume it's done.
Right. And how long was the gap? Let's see. The gap between the Mugen Train and the Entertainment arc District arc was November 28th to December 5th. Oh. Wait.
What?
Well, the other problem is the Mugen Train arc was also put out as its own movie before it was aired as individual episodes. This is all very confusing. I don't like it. Anyway, yeah, all I can tell you is there was a final episode of Entertainment arc. It felt like the arc was complete and there wasn't a new episode over the weekend. So it seems like whatever the current, whether it's a season or whether it's an arc, it's done until the next one comes around.
Fair enough.
There's not a whole lot of smelling going on.
No,
I should report on that.
That's disappointing.
Yes.
That's very disappointing.
I will tell you though. So you know how Zenitsu's like a screaming, whining baby all the time?
Yeah. Well, from what I saw in the movie, somewhat. Because you got to remember, I didn't watch the season 1 long enough to meet him, and then he's only a side character in the movie. He doesn't really play a main role. He's mostly asleep.
Yeah. And he's so much better when he's asleep. So
yeah,
that's a good point.
But his dreams are very screaming and whiny and annoying. So
yeah. Correct. So my problem with the entertainment arc is they introduced, let's see, 3 brand new separate characters who are screaming, crying, whining characters. Like, so annoying. I wanted them all to die. It is kind of really bad. So just a heads up on that. It might not bother you as much as it bothers me, but man alive, I really like this show, but there's this insistence that certain characters are top of their lungs, crying, screaming, whatever they're upset about for extended periods, and I cannot handle it.
Fair enough.
Yeah.
Yep. I will keep that in mind as I continue to not plan to watch this for a while.
Excellent. Sounds like a plan. You should write that down. Prepare for lots of screaming.
Yeah, lots of screaming. Prepare for Attack on Titan Season 1 levels of screaming. Got it.
It's a good comparison, actually. Is it more than Eren from Season 1 of Attack on Titan? I bet someone's done that comparison before.
Possibly.
Yeah. Like, how much screen time is taken up by somebody crying their way through a scene?
I don't know.
I don't either. It's a lot.
Yep.
Attack on Titans, it's still insane.
Yeah.
Yep. That's all I'm going to say about that.
Cool. I started watching Jujutsu Kaisen.
Oh yeah, I've heard things.
It's good. Yeah, I'm really enjoying it. The parallels to Demon Slayer are
Dark?
A few. Like mainly it's a high school kid fights monsters. You know,
Mm-hmm.
he attends a high school for monster killing, which
Oh, okay.
Tanjiro doesn't really do, but he does go to a place and learn for a while, and then gets issued a high school uniform as
Yes.
his as his clothing. So there's that.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, it's. I mean, it's not a lot of screaming so far, so I'm enjoying it.
Good to
Yeah,
hear.
yep. It's
Are there harem aspects to this one?
no,
All right.
I don't think so. I haven't.
That's good.
If there is, I haven't met them yet.
Right.
Yeah.
Could always be lurking in the future.
Mm-hmm. No. No.
Blah.
Yeah.
Blah, blah, blah.
Pretty much. Have you finished Psychopaths yet?
No, there are so many episodes. so many.
So many episodes. Oh my god.
Yep. I don't know. I'm having a hard time getting into season 2. I thought season 1 was really good.
Mm-hmm.
It has a really solid story it's telling. There's progression for all the characters. There's a mystery that is solved.
Mm-hmm.
And they're like, we're done. And I'm like, that was really good. And then they're like, and we're gonna keep going now. And I'm like, wait, but we
But we're done. It's over.
I mean,
you
yeah,
solved
I
the
feel
mystery.
like so they're like, here's a bunch of new characters and a new mystery. And I'm like, well, I mean, all right, fine.
And another
Fine.
mystery. Have fun.
Yeah.
Fair enough. Fair enough.
It's good. I mean, I do like the main character. I think she's really well done.
Mm-hmm.
And kind of like seeing her continue to grow and progress is good. I like that in season 2.
Excellent.
Yeah. I just get attached to characters, and giving me new ones in a story is like, you have to win me over.
You'd rather just keep hearing about the adventures of character A.
Yeah. Or even, some of the characters in season 1 that died. Like,
Oh, yeah?
I'd rather they stuck around. Just get to spend more time with characters that I like from season 1 instead of giving me new ones.
Fair enough.
Yeah.
Can't argue with that.
I've really come around on this whole argument. I used to be totally in favor of the Game of Thrones style of like anyone can die at any time, and it creates an excitement and intensity, and you worry about characters even though they're main, and normally they wouldn't die, but in this story they will.
Do you know what broke that for you? Because I do.
Game of Thrones?
Yeah, Game of Thrones broke that for you.
Yeah,
because they killed people and then brought them back, and it didn't matter.
Okay.
Like they broke their own rules, and you were just like, it would have been better if they stayed dead. And now you're the opposite way around. Now when people die, you want them to come back because you know that if they come back later, it's not going to mean anything that they died now. That's it.
Okay, but that's part of it.
Like you,
but I mean,
Marilyn pointed on it. Yeah.
But that's just not them doing it, right? That's them saying they're going to make it so that deaths matter and then backtracking.
Mm-hmm.
But I think what did it for me in Game of Thrones is I really felt the loss of certain characters. Like Tywin, right? He's not a main character.
I would have said he was.
Okay. Like, I don't think he shows up until like season 3.
Well, by main, I mean hugely important, right? Like like removing him changes the landscape significantly.
Yes, it changes the landscape. It means that his kids are running free with no guidance from him, and he's the smartest one of all the Lannisters by far, right? So
I
losing
think Tyrion gives him a run for his money.
Well,
I mean, he's a little
Tyrion, not late seasons Tyrion.
I mean, yeah. That's not
Anywho, you're right. Tyrion's smart, but like especially for Jaime and wow, did I just forget her name?
Cersei.
I want to say Lena Headey. It's Cersei. Thank you. Yeah, and Cersei especially. Just like they're not as good without their dad running around. But him, Olenna Tyrell dying, like she was always just a blast on screen. Marjorie Tyrell dying, just such a fun character. Yeah, so just like I felt the loss of these characters, and I wish they'd stuck around. I felt it could have made the story better. So I don't know. Just come all the way back around on this, where I understand the original argument for keeping main characters alive, and like, sure, putting them in perilous situations where they're not going to die because they're a main character is kind of annoying, and it does remove some of
Mhm.
the fear that you have for them. And sure, but also them being around is good. It helps everything be better.
Right. Yeah. No, I
Yeah.
get it. I get it.
So anyway,
Mm.
storytelling is hard. People are
Yeah,
going to yell
Ted.
at you no matter what you do.
Yeah. Yep.
You
That
never
is.
kill your main characters. Okay. You kill
Oh,
all your main characters. All right.
you killed some of your main characters. And happened to be the ones I liked.
I'm going to send you hate tweets all the time.
Mm-hmm.
Ugh.
Yeah. How dare you kill Wash?
Oh,
Book.
people are so mad about that.
Yeah.
See, and
Well.
that was fine because it was the end of the story, right? Like, you kill off Tywin in the final episode of Game of Thrones. It's like, all right, well, there's no more Game of Thrones, so whatever. And killing off Wash, there's no more Firefly, so it's more like a whatever kind of a thing, you know?
Well.
You can't miss Wash if there are no episodes of Firefly where he's dead.
Well, no. See, here's the thing. That's the problem with writing a story, knowing it's going to be the final chapter, right?
Right.
And theoretically, every author or writer will do this because everything has a limit. But
Mhm.
because you know it's the end, you're much more willing to just kill off characters and use them as like shock value. Essentially, it's like, oh my god, they killed Wash,
Yeah.
right? When
I mean, yes.
they wouldn't have done that in the middle of the Firefly season because it's
Pro-
Wash. Like,
yeah, everybody loves Wash. He's great.
exactly.
Yeah.
So,
No, you're right.
yeah,
It's a different thing.
it's a different thing. So knowing that moving forward, knowing that Game of Thrones still had more seasons, you can kill Tywin and make it impactful because there's risk involved. Like if he's a favorite character and the sugar goes down the shitter, it's like, well,
Oops.
Oops. Yeah.
It was a shock. It really was. I remember like that, outhouse door swings open and Tyrion's there with a crossbow, and you're like, oh, all right, we're doing this, I guess. On Father's Day, no less.
Oh, was it?
It was. It was specifically timed that way, I believe.
Wow.
But yeah, you're right. Incredible amounts of shock value. Amazing stuff.
Yeah. Yeah.
What's funny about Game of Thrones is that Elden Rings is like totally touting the fact that they got George R.R. Martin to do some lore writing for them.
Right.
Just...
Which, I mean, I would like to ask just how much was he involved? Because from what I heard, it's not a whole lot. It's
right.
like he sat down with the other writer and I think it was Miyazaki or something. God, I don't want to say my ad blocker. No. Show me the goddamn article. And it's like they hashed out 3 or 4 key elements of the world, and that was kind of it, right? And gave him a writer's credit. Like, yeah, I don't know.
Right. But I mean, the larger point is that he's not writing Winds of Winter. No matter how much time he's spending on Elden Rings, it's time that he could have been spending writing Winds of Winter, which is never coming out.
I mean, yes, if he was a much larger force in the game, I'd be like, yeah, okay, that's a fair point. But, I mean, that's like saying, well, if the guy ate more fiber, he'd spend less time on the shitter, and he could spend more time writing Winds of Winter. It's like, you're just being petty over how he spends his time. The guy can do multiple things. He's got to do some other stuff. Not selling Winds of Winter means he needs to make money selling Elden Ring. Like, he's got to, like... I don't know. It's like complaining that he spends an hour making dinner every day when if he just spent half an hour making a smaller meal, he could spend more time writing Winds of Winter. It's like, you're just being petty.
Yeah, no, there's pettiness because you know when A Dance with Dragons came out, Somicron?
Like 1905 or something?
Yeah, 1905. It was 2011. We are 10 years since the last book was released, and there's no news. There's not him being like, I'm making good progress. I'm gonna wrap this up in the next year or two. Like, not even that.
Here's the thing. Everyone goes out and says, "Oh well, he's not writing it. He's never going to get it done." And he just goes, "Okay, I won't then." Like,
Yeah.
what is he? He doesn't give a shit.
Right. And
he
then
knows how the story ends. He's the only one who knows. And everyone who's just being petty, being like, "Well, you shouldn't be working on Elden Ring. How dare you have other creative drives?" He's just like, "Well, fuck you then." Like, and I get that. I hope he doesn't finish it.
People have expectations. How dare they?
How dare they be rude about their expectation for 11 years? How dare he have to put up with this for 11 years?
Well, no, people were putting up with it for the first 5 years because that's fairly normal. Like the time between A Feast for Crows and A Dance with Dragons was 6 years. Mm-hmm. So from 2011 to like 2016 or 17, people were like, all right, cool. Yeah, he's working on it.
People put up with it for 5 or 6 years before it became a hit TV show and dominated the cultural zeitgeist, right? Like, people got enamored with it that ended shit. The only thing that they have to turn to for refuge is the books, and there's no books. Like, they ran out of books, and they know there's no more books. Well, there's potentially no more books coming.
Yeah, so definitely there were more people complaining about the lack of Winds of Winter after the show became a huge hit, definitely.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. That's a good point. I don't know, man. And I do bet he got a ton of money from HBO.
Oh, probably. I don't
know if he needs Winds of Winter money at all at this point.
Well, I mean, rich people always need more money because it's like, well, I have 1 billion, but I could have 7. You know?
Some people are wired differently, though. There are plenty of people out there with a couple $1 million who just hang out. They're not chasing more. They're just happy to do whatever they want and live their life, you know?
Sure. I don't think George R. Martin's one of those people. I don't think he's going around and like buying Lamborghinis and throwing ostentatious, like hedonistic parties for everyone in Hollywood. I don't think he's on that end of the spectrum either, where he's like blowing through his money on piles of cocaine. But I think he's more than happy to continue to earn money regardless. Like, I don't think he has an issue with being like, well, they're offering me money and it's not something I'm opposed to doing, so I'll do it. Like, I think Henry Cavill said he was basically the same way, where he's like, I like earning money because I like spending money, which is why I'll always be working, right?
Yeah.
Where
but you can have enough money that you don't need to keep working. It will still be there. Look,
right, but I mean, that's not the way they look at it.
I know some people, a lot of people don't look at it that way, and a lot of people do. I don't know what the numbers are.
Like, Henry Cavill has 6 houses and like 20 cars. He could stop working, sell 2 of the houses, and live fine. But he's like, well, what if I want to buy another house, right?
Yeah, and so a lot of people are wired that way.
Right, and I think George R. Martin's just not likely to leave money on the table because he's sold his book rights for, like, you know, a TV that went for like 8 seasons, and now they're making another show about it, set like the Targaryens, and he has released another book, which was like some lore from the Targaryens like 200 years before the events of Game of Thrones. It wasn't a narrative piece, but he did write and release another book.
Yep, that's true.
Yeah, and he is working, and I assume they are paying him. So I think that supports my argument here.
Okay. Well, what supports my argument is that his yearly income is estimated to be between $60 and $120 million a year.
Mm-hmm.
At that point,
and yet he's still working.
At that point, you don't need to write Winds of Winter. You don't.
No, I don't think he does.
Yeah.
I think he will continue to do other things until he dies.
Yeah, I'm sure he will.
He might do it, but I don't think he'll do it until everyone shuts the hell up about it.
Oh, I doubt that.
Do you know what I hope he's done? I hope he's finished them. I hope they're all just sitting in a safe or in a safety deposit box at the bank, and nobody's going to find them. Yeah.
He's written...
Ghost at a Watchman kind of a thing.
And then he falls over dead of a heart attack, and in 100 years, someone gets in the safe, and they're like, hey, look at this.
Yeah, it's Winds of Winter. It's finished. It's leather
Huh.
bound.
Or they go, books, what are these?
Oh, it's fire starting material.
I mean, odds are fairly good for either of those options, I think.
How mad would you be if George R. R. Martin went on to like a press tour or something? Like, yeah, I have a press announcement, and he goes, yeah. So I had Winds of Winter finished, but I left it out, and my 4-year-old nephew accidentally threw it into the fireplace. Like it was just sitting out, and I wasn't watching I had the kids for one weekend, and I got up to use the bathroom, and kids destroyed it.
And I would say there's no way on earth that was the only copy of that book, George.
I mean, I hear he writes with a typewriter. So everything's
does he?
No.
Oh, okay.
I can't imagine that he does. But I imagine, like, somewhere vaguely, I can remember seeing like a media piece where it's like, meet George R. R. Martin, and it's like, here he is working on Game of Thrones, and they had like this whole fantasy themed room set out for him, and like an old typewriter to type on. For the and he's drinking mead from a cask like this big on his table.
Yeah, that's how you do it. Fireplace roaring in the background.
Yeah, dragon head above the mantelpiece, that kind of thing. Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
Yep, that's exactly what's going on. Just more satisfying to type on a typewriter.
It is. It's very click-clacky. The original clicky keyboard. Literally.
They can't hear you typing, then are you really typing?
Exactly.
Yeah. Amazing. All right. Good stuff. Is that going to be it?
I certainly think so. I can't think of anything else that's left to talk about. There's a couple of like minor things where it's like not Bungie. 343 sent me a survey to be like, how did you feel about Halo Infinite? And I'm like, whoa boy.
That's a can of worms.
Yeah. And then they started like asking me questions about, did the microtransactions make you stop playing? I'm like, yeah, kind of. Did the fact that the game launched with 2 multiplayer game modes make me stop playing? Yeah, kind of. Did the fact that it doesn't have co-op campaign like 4 months out after release make me stop playing? Yeah, kind of.
You're listing off a lot of good reasons, guys. Way to go.
Feels like you guys know what's wrong with your game. Yeah.
You're reading the subreddit.
Have you tried fixing it?
Yeah.
Yeah. So that was something that I did.
Well, I'm glad you helped them get some feedback to figure out the things they already know and they just need to actually do.
They just want to check to make sure that if anybody actually cares that the microtransactions in it are shitty, and it's like, hey, but we knocked all the prices down. Didn't you buy something then? It's like, no, because I don't want to have to pay for all of my armor customization. Like, I don't want to do that.
Nobody wants to do that. Some people will do it, but nobody wants to do that.
Right. Like, just look at Reach. Reach had a perfect system. And, like, look at the Master Chief... Oh, God, the Master Chief Collection. Master Chief Collection gave out, like, 8 seasons of free armor and cosmetics for, like, all of the games, except for Halo 4, because nobody really cares about Halo 4. They gave out new armor in Halo 3 and Halo 2 Anniversary. They put new weapons into Halo 3. They did a fantastic job. I can't launch the fucking game anymore, though. I don't know what's gone wrong. I've uninstalled it. I've reinstalled it. It always goes to my vertical monitor, not where I want to play Halo. And it never actually appears. My mouse cursor changes to the Master Chief Collection mouse cursor, but it's just invisible on my screen. It's like it's hiding behind the monitor, and I just gotta like Alt Tab to it. It never comes up. Just never does.
These are terrible problems. These are game-breaking problems.
These are game-breaking problems. I cannot play Halo. It's a big issue for me.
Yeah. Have you put in a support ticket?
No, God, no.
In the email, did you say, I can't play your game, that's why I'm not playing your game?
Well, they were only interested in Halo Infinite at the time.
Oh, yeah. I guess.
Yeah.
Still complain.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, That's my ranting done.
Good rant. Solid
Yep.
rant. I give it a 8 out of 10.
Excellent. Thank you.
Yeah. All right, cool stuff. Well, that is going to be it from us today. This has been Somicron and Falcon Paladin with another edition of the Falcon Paladin Hour. Feel free to support the podcast directly by going to patreon.com/Somicron. Also checking out the merch at falconpaladin.store.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And until next time, as always, thanks for hanging out with us. Thank you for enjoying another episode of the pod. And until next time,